Today we've come here. This is one of the pools, one of the candidate vernal pools that we are surveying. We have a program at EWA, at Earthwise Aware, where we come in the fells and we go in the fells to find those candidate pools. There is about 126 or 130 vernal pools in the fells. Half of them have been certified, half of them are not certified. And in the state we have a certification process by which if you find biological evidence and you follow a specific type of documentation protocol, you can establish that indeed a candidate vernal pool is a vernal pool and it will grant it a specific kind of protection, right? So this is an important thing because amphibians are endangered. And vernal pools are really specific habitat for a certain group of amphibians such as wood frog, spotted salamander, Jefferson salamanders, etc. So in these specific pools, this is one of our new candidate pools this year, we found about 3 egg masses of spotted salamanders. And today we're going to look if there is also tadpoles maybe of wood frogs, right? And we're going to also samples to see what kind of aquatic wildlife we can find. And we'll document all that. That's part of the documentation of a vernal pool. We have a kind of a unique way of doing it compared to many other people who document these pools. One instance of that, for instance, is that we do not grab the egg mass, for example, of the spotted salamander. We let it in place because it's attached. So if you grab it somehow, you detach it. So you disturbed, right, where it was. So we let it where it is and we take the picture under the water. This is what constitutes our proof. And people are starting to notice that, we think it's a more ethical way of documenting, this kind of egg masses or wildlife, proofs. I'm looking at this pool. The pool was a little bit more it was longer the last time that we were there, so it's already kind of reducing. They reduce, so they get supplied by spring water usually, and the snow, shrinking, right? And then they dry during the summer, so that's what makes them very specific habitat. Vernal pools are pools that disappear, meaning they have a hydrology where the water disappears. They become dry every so often, And that makes them very specific habitat because there is no fish predation. That's why, finding these species like spotted salamander are important because they're kind of obligate species of this pool. They really are a strong indicator that there are no fish there if they breed here. This past few years, only last year, it was very dry. They were really kind of dry by early July, if I remember well. People are often confused, think that because there is a lot of rain at some point, then it's enough to supply them. No, because it all depends when the rain pours, right? So there is a different time during the year where the soil is slightly different and doesn't absorb the water in the same way. So this year, I'm really looking and I'm thinking that it's going to be dry again, so which is a little bit tough. Because that means it shortened the breeding time as well, right? The development phase of all this little spotted salamander. It's interesting that they have flexible, a period of development depending on how dry the pool is. So it's going to be probably shortened there. We're going to document and we're going to maybe establish some proof there as well. One of the proof is here egg masses, and then later on, tadpoles. So if you have egg masses, you need to find 5 to have really a definite proof that it is a vernal pool. If you have tadpoles, you just need, somehow almost 1 tadpole, a little bunch of them. And then, yeah, that's a vernal pool. Another kind of proof is also sound proofs, such as choruses of wood frogs. So if you are able to catch really a chorus, meaning you have probably more than 5 or 10, wood frog, then that is a good proof as well. So caddisfly larvae are really cool little critters because what they do, so they lie on the floor of the pond there, and they grab little pieces of wood and leaf, etc. And they build an encasing, a little house. So they are worm-like with a big mouth, and they have, grabbing hands in a sense. And they grab things around, right? And they have a kind of a glue that they emit, and they build their house. A few weeks ago, Joe and I, we were actually looking or tracking another pool. And when we passed by on the path, we heard wood frogs here. Looked on the map later to see if it was a candidate vernal pool. It's not on any map. So I wanted to check, right, if indeed there are some wood frogs, which would be an obligate species, and tadpoles would be the ultimate beautiful, definite proof for this pool, right? And to put it on the map, the Massachusetts map of the vernal pool. So that's the thing. So now what you see here, this kind of green vines, these are greenbrier, and they are making this pool hard to access, which is actually a wonder. This is great because that means it's hard to access for anybody. Also as well dogs, which is important because that prevents from disrupting the habitat. The thing, when you have waders on like Joe, this goes through your waders. You want to be careful. It pierces everything. It's really tough. So a fairy shrimp is really, so it's a little critter. You'll see it a little bit later. With that fairy shrimp, this is an obligate species of vernal pool. There is absolutely no other pool that they can live in, and actually they spend their entire life in their pool, right? So when you find one, you know for sure that you have a vernal pool. But it's really, we have a vernal pool here. So a new vernal pool, and we'll do the submission of the certification this year. So I'm super happy.